Under a heavy grey sky, a man stands at the edge of a vast Welsh landfill, eyes fixed on the shifting mountains of waste. Somewhere beneath hundreds of thousands of tons of rotting waste lies a small piece of metal and plastic, a hard drive. On it, 8,000 bitcoins. Today, that's worth over almost $1 billion. At the time of this video, $904,128,000 to be precise. And the man who owns it knows exactly where it is, but he can't get it back. It's been there for over a decade, slowly sinking deeper, and the more time passes, the less likely it will ever be found. The owner of this hard drive, he wasn't a tech insider or a Wall Street trader. He was an engineer, a regular guy, keeping emergency response systems running for local communities in Wales. James Howells discovered Bitcoin early on, learning about it on an online forum less than 5 years after its creation. Using free software, he began mining, lending his computer's power to secure transactions in exchange for coins. Back then, 1 Bitcoin was worth less than a penny. Mining it was simple, but explaining mining, not so simple. Let's try to break it down. Bitcoin mining uses powerful computers to solve complex mathematical puzzles that verify transactions on the network. The first computer to solve each puzzle earns a reward in newly created Bitcoins and transaction fees. This is called the block reward. Once sold, each block of transactions is permanently recorded in the currency's public ledger, the blockchain, forming the backbone of the entire system. In short, the puzzles are there to protect Bitcoin from manipulation and maintain trust without banks or middlemen. Got it? Great. James mined over 8,000 Bitcoin and stored it in a single wallet file on a small, unremarkable hard drive. Then he moved on. The computer was dismantled and the hard drive put away in a classic man drawer. In 2009, Bitcoin was nothing more than an idea. There were no billion-dollar valuations, no promotional tweets from Elon Musk, no celebrity endorsements. It was a playground for cryptocurrency enthusiasts, libertarians, and a handful of dreamers who thought they could redesign the world's financial system. Most people who mined Bitcoin gave it away, spent it on pizzas.
Honestly thought it would be really cool if I could say, hey, I just traded this, open source internet money for a real world good. And, pizza, every geek understands pizza.
Or forgot about it entirely. James was one of those people. The coins sat quietly on his hard drive while life carried on. And outside of that small online community, nobody cared. Then, in the summer of 2013, one of the most expensive mistakes in tech history was made. The hard drive was thrown in the bin. James was cleaning out his office sometime in 2013 when he left a hard drive among a pile of rubbish earmarked for the dump. A miscommunication with his partner at the time led to the drive being gathered up and taken to the landfill. By the time he realized, it was already too late. The hard drive was gone, swallowed by the landfill. A true needle in a haystack. Then, just as all hope seemed lost, a landfill worker offered a glimmer of possibility. Dumps were not filled randomly. Like computers, they had architecture. It was organized into different cells. Asbestos was deposited in one location, general household trash in another. It would not be impossible to pinpoint the area where the hard drive was buried and then retrieve it. All he needed was the city's permission. As Howells prepared a proposal for the council, Bitcoin's value kept climbing. In 2017, the city rejected his request to excavate the landfill, concluding that there was no way this hard drive could be recovered. By the beginning of 2018, Howells had more than $100 million buried in a Welsh dump. He kept pleading his case to the city officials. He called his local member of the Welsh Parliament. He lobbied the British Parliament in London. For most people, this would have been the end of the story, a mistake too big to undo. But James wasn't ready to give up, not when he believed the drive and the fortune inside it might still be intact. So, what gave him confidence the hard drive had survived? After all, it had spent more than a decade buried under tons of waste. The answer lay inside the drive itself. Its storage platters weren't just plain metal. They were made of glass, protected by a thin layer of anti-corrosive cobalt. This combination is far tougher than you might think, able to resist rust and decay even in the damp, acidic environment of a landfill. Howells cited real-world examples, like NASA's Columbia disaster, where engineers recovered 99% of data from a drive burned and smashed on impact. Specialists told him there was an 80 to 90% chance his drive's data could be recovered if the platter wasn't cracked. He knew the odds weren't perfect, but James had a plan. He secured investors, prepared to fund millions for the search in return for a share of the fortune if the recovery succeeded. The plan sounded straight out of a sci-fi movie. Dump trucks would haul the waste to a giant hopper, feeding it into a conveyor belt. From there, an AI-powered X-ray scanner would hunt for anything shaped like a hard drive. Every possible match would then be pulled out by hand. To sweeten the deal, he even offered the council a share of the fortune, millions of pounds, but the answer never changed. No, they pointed to cost, to environmental risks, to health and safety. And they were right. A landfill isn't just mountains of trash. It's unstable, it's toxic, it releases dangerous gases. Excavation could cause real harm. When the story hit the news, the internet erupted. Some saw James as a tragic figure, the unluckiest man alive. Others saw him as a cautionary tale, memes and endless jokes, a global audience watching one man's impossible treasure hunt. But behind the humor and headlines was a man still living with the weight of what he'd lost. The world laughed, but for James, the reality was harder to escape. After losing the hard drive, Howells stayed at his job for over a year, but the weight of his lost fortune grew too heavy. He avoided checking Bitcoin prices and even steered clear of the landfill, until finally he left his job altogether. Today, James hasn't given up. He's tinkering with his own cryptocurrency project while still pressing the city council for permission to dig, though changing their minds will be a long, arduous battle.
You've got no further recourse here. You're out, right?
Well, in terms of attempting to recover my property, my digital property from their land, no, there is nothing else I can do. They own the land and they won't let me enter onto that land in order to recover my property. So now I'm taking the only option left to me, which is to tokenize my assets.
James Howells was suddenly pushed into the global spotlight. His mistake turned into a modern legend. His story shows the hidden risk of cryptocurrency. Unlike cash or gold, it can be lost forever with a simple slip. There are no banks, no backups, no second chances. His missing hard drive is more than bad luck. It's a warning about how fragile digital wealth can be.